Okay, good morning. That was the cool sounds of Gina Harris and on and on December 10th. Hope you enjoy that. So we're about to start. I just want to explain that we're filming part of our meeting this morning to become part of the documentary on Alzheimer's awareness in the Bahamas. And so we've been here from 6 o'clock setting up, but had some technical difficulties, and so that's why we're running a little late. So I'm going to ask you to set your clocks 10 minutes back as we're about to begin. I'm just waiting for my technical team to get out of the way. Or can we start while you guys are doing what you're doing? I think we should. So to start the meeting, Terrence, could you please stand? So in the room, I'm going to invite Terrence Marshall is actually online to do our invocation.
Good morning, my fellow Rotarians and guests. Let us pray. O God, and giver of all good, we thank thee for our daily food. May Rotary friends and Rotary base help us to serve thee all our days. Amen.
Amen. And to do the loyal toast, Rotary Director Yvonne gives us thanks, who I believe is online as well.
Good morning, everybody. Let's raise our glasses to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
To the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. You may be seated. Chairman Sherbert, did you plan sitting at the head table with us? All right, so as you know, Rotarians and guests, December is Disease Prevention Treatment Month. And we're kicking off the first day of the month, we're kicking off with the spotlight on Alzheimer's disease and dementia. So we have a wonderful speaker, and the Wellness Committee has arranged some exciting meetings and speakers throughout December, even while we're in the festivities of Christmas. And so I want you to, if you're online and your camera ready, please turn on your cameras so we don't have all these blank spaces for video. And also if you're gonna ask questions, please turn on your cameras. If if you're not speaking, please keep your mics off so that we can minimize any disturbance. Actually, we have a mixer now, so we shouldn't have too many, but it would still be very distracting. So welcome to another sunrise morning. But to officially welcome you, let me invite our secretary, Kenny Jones, to do the official welcome. Secretary Kenny?
Good morning to everyone who woke up in the land of the living today. So, hi, good morning, welcome. I mean, today is December 1st, beginning of the best month in the year, so I can need a little bit more empty than that. But firstly, I'd like to say a very warm welcome to our guest speaker, who I'm very excited to hear from after our mini meeting the other day. Very excited to hear the presentation. But before I move on, firstly, to our Rotarians, does anyone have any guests in the meeting they would like to introduce? Well, I speak for President Donat, who has a guest, chat me in the chat. And since no one else is speaking, I will just simply do a roll call myself and take it from there. Ms. Sharon Stewart, do you mind unmuting and quickly saying hello and telling us who invited you to the meeting? Oh, you're the guest speaker. Stacy. So Stacy Algreen. What you're saying? Okay. And I think that's all of the guests I see inside the chat. So with that, I will turn it back to our president and have a warm welcome to everyone. And I'm looking forward to the 25 days of Christmas. I have a guess.
Oh, you have a guest?
Welcome, welcome.
So actually, he's my guest. So let me introduce Leonardo Newman. He is from New Hill Productions, and he's assisting us this morning. As I said, we're doing a documentary on Alzheimer's, and he's a movie maker, video producer, filmmaker, documentary producer, you name it. And he's also the son of Patrick Newman, but he's my guest. All right, so without further ado, let me invite Director Keisha to tell us about our raffle this morning.
Hi, a pleasant good morning, fellow Rotarians and guests in the room and online. And welcome to December. So today's raffle, we have a $50 gift card to Bahama. And tickets will be on sale 1 for $5, 3 for $10. So please go ahead. Those of you in the room, I'm going to come around, purchase. And those of you that are online, please purchase, and purchase some more. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Pull up my agenda. I think it's now time for announcements. I know we have our event coming up on December 10th, but if you have an announcement, please come forward. And I'm not sure if it's Director Yvonne who's making the announcement on the jazz event.
Good morning. On Saturday morning at 8 a.m., the St. Augustine College Interact will be doing a beach cleanup. We are asking as much as you to come out and support the youth. Let them know that we have their back and we are supporting them. Also at 1 o'clock on Saturday, Kingsway Interact is holding a car wash and bake sale at Kingsway on Wolf Road. And so we're asking you to come out and support the Interacts. We want to see everyone out there And let me tell you something, with all this rain, everybody got dirty. And the thing is, they charging $8 a clean car. I know how, because I am told them. But to get a car clean for $8, yeah, I'll be there for $2. So I know I can see all of you on there Saturday. Come out, let's come out and support. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is the Director of Fundraising again. We have approximately 10 more days to our Jingle Jazz concert dinner evening. And these tickets are going for $150. They are actually valued at $300. So far, we have 11 Sunrises who has registered to be there. I have left some personal notes on as much person's voice WhatsApp as I can to support the event. Even if you can't make it in person, please let us know what you could contribute to the cost of putting off the event. We are looking forward to seeing you, and hopefully you can make it. And I know we like to do things at the last minute, but we still have some tables left. So please come out and have a grand evening, because it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And this event will surely put you in the spirit of Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Yvonne. Any other announcements? Yeah, Secretary Kenny is coming forward. And then following him, we will hear from the Chair of Rotary and any milestones, birthdays celebrated today.
So one of the reasons why I'm so excited about 25 days of Christmas is because, of course, we know for the past 20 years, every year around this time, we support Salvation Army in their Brigade. So definitely this weekend, as well as the next 2 or 3 weekends, while we support the car wash, we also need to mobilize to start getting out there to ring the bell for the Salvation Army. So we sent an email out earlier this week, and we'll be following up to get volunteers. Please, please, please support. We can't stop this tradition of 21 years now of service. It's at the same place where it's almost Fresh Market again this year. And we have signed up from 9 to 5 west. You don't have to be in Plaza. Okay. And we have times from 9 to 5 p.m. Oh, sorry. Sorry. No, it's really? I'll change that. It should be east. Yes. Sorry, it should be Happy Plaza. I'll correct that email, but yes, we're the same location out east. However.
All right, guys, come on out. It's usually quite a nice, and you see all the people that you haven't seen in a long time. Any other announcements? All right. So
Yeah. Good morning, Rotarians and guests. President Donat, I just have 2 announcements. There are no birthday celebrations this week, but we do have a Rotaversary. PAG Kala is celebrating 22 years in Rotary, so we want to celebrate her this morning. And so PAG Kala, happy Rotaversary. And for those of you who have not engaged in the WhatsApp group, we learned last week that Rotarian Karen Kim Butler, her grandmother, passed away. So we just want to officially extend condolences to Karen on the passing of her grandmother. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Thank you, President Donat.
thank you so much. I was surprised at Carla's age. I mean, in Rotary, because it seems almost like her biological age. So perhaps she joined Rotary when she was 3 years old. Congratulations, Madam Justice. All right, to introduce our guest speaker, I'm gonna invite Rotarian Roshando. Is she? Or she's not here yet. So
Yeah, I'm online. Hi, good morning, Sunrises. So, hello?
To record for the documentary, so.
Okay.
So Dr. Chevet will do that.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Good morning, sunrises. How's everyone doing today? So as we recognize Alzheimer's and dementia awareness month, we just wanted to think about how are ways that we can actually bring about awareness to this much needed topic that is in our society, but we don't talk about it often. We don't know how to recognize the signs. We don't know what to do with signs of present. So with esteemed pleasure, I am happy to welcome our speaker, my friend and my colleague today, Dr. Sasha Dorset. Today, she actually, so Dr. Sasha Dorset actually currently serves as a registrar at the San Luis Rehabilitation Center. Dr. Dorset is an avid reader and youth director of the Church of God of Prophecy, Meadow Street. She passionately serves the geriatric hospital, and she has recently completed a master's degree in public health and geriatology with the University of the West Indies. Dr. Dorset is a member of the American Geriatric Society, and Dr. Dorset has completed numerous research papers focusing on geriatric population, caregiver burden, and COVID-19 in the long-term care facilities. Her passion for seniors was catalyzed by her grandmothers, whom she helped to care for as a teenager. Dr. Dorset is a graduate of St. Augustine's College, as well as Albion College and the University of the West Indies. Help me welcome today Dr. Sasha Dorset.
Good morning. Morning. And again, my name is Dr. Sasha Dorset, and I'm so excited this morning to present to you the Rotary Club of Nassau Sunrise on this also important topic. It's Alzheimer's disease. So what's next? Alzheimer's disease is a complicated but crucial topic. It is the most common degenerating disease, dementia, the most common cause of dementia. And interestingly enough, it is the sixth most common cause of death in the United States. And in a small study that I completed at the geriatric hospital this year, we found that 59% of our inpatients had dementia. And in our public setting, we see about 300 older persons, 300 individuals who are over the age of 65 in an outpatient setting with our public hospitals authority. We've done a prevalence study of that community and found that 31% of that population has dementia. So the numbers are high, and this topic is indeed worthy of discussion. So this opportunity to discuss Alzheimer's disease is amazing. And it's important because people are living longer. And people are living longer with diseases, chronic diseases, not only the hypertension and the diabetes, they're also living longer with Alzheimer's disease. Today, almost 1 in 10 people are older than 60 years old. And by 2050, we expect that 1 in 5 persons are going to be older than 60 years old. And the Bahamas is not exempt from these increases in numbers. In 1970, 3.7% of our population was considered older. And in 2050, we expect that it's going to be about 10%. In 2020, it was 7.7%. And so we're seeing a steady increase in our older person population. And so with more older persons comes more disease, comes more dementia. And there also comes more caregiver burden for those who have to take care of those patients who are suffering from dementia. So let's talk about how Alzheimer's disease works. It is thought that the brain has proteins. All of our brains have proteins, and they're called amyloid and tau proteins. They surround the brain cells. The amyloid proteins are on the outside, the tau proteins are on the inside. We all have them. However, in patients who have Alzheimer's disease, where they have those unhealthy brains, the amyloid proteins form plaques, and the tau proteins form tangles. So these plaques and tangles cause brain cells to die. And when the brain cells die, the brain shrinks. And that is the beginning of the problems that we see. What's interesting, though, is that these changes can be happening and no one knows that there's no imaging done. There's no symptoms for up to 10 years. And then on a micro level in our brain, we have neurons. And these neurons use neurotransmitters or special chemicals to communicate with each other. And so an important neurotransmitter that comes up a lot in discussion about Alzheimer's disease, acetylcholinesterase, right? So this fancy neurotransmitter is how neurons in your brain communicate with each other. So these neurons tell the brain or help the brain to communicate and say, it's time to swallow, it's time to drink water, I have to answer Dr. Stevens when she's talking to me, it's time to walk. This is how the communication happens with the brain. However, the patients who have Alzheimer's disease have lower levels of this chemical, this acetylcholinesterase. There's less of it. So we said earlier, changes can be happening and you don't even know it. And so it's important for us to discuss how these changes slowly occur and recognize the early changes. So for example, the hippocampus, right? It's the center of the brain and it's often affected first. And the hippocampus is vital to forming memories, right? So in the early stages, there is a challenge forming new memories. And these individuals may remember childhood memories, but don't remember what they had for breakfast, right? So they may remember growing up in Georgetown and Zuma, but they can't remember what they just said 2 minutes ago. So it's very challenging. They may not remember their grandchild's name. They may not remember their address eventually. And with decreased independence comes challenges with getting dressed, challenges with completing what we call the basic activities of daily living. And unfortunately, more often than not, things get worse and patients present with behavior changes. They get a little bit more aggressive than we would like. They wander, they try to leave their home and go wherever they think is their new home, right? There's also the risk of reduced mobility, increased morbidity, reduced mobility, and so much more. So when discussing Alzheimer's disease, it is important for us to know that every presentation is going to be different, and the way persons present differs due to their culture, their personalities, their socioeconomic statuses, and education. And some of our screening tools takes that into consideration. So as we talk, I think the question that's going to be on our minds is my grandparents, is my parent, am I at risk of developing Alzheimer's disease? And so there are many risk factors. Some we will highlight. A big one is age. The older you are, the greater the risk. Family history is a risk factor. And so there are some special genes associated with the increased risk of development of Alzheimer's disease. A biggie is ApoE protein. And research has shown that several lifestyle changes and conditions are associated. So they are in a direct cause. There's an association between Alzheimer's disease and, for example, cardiovascular disease. And so your risk is greater if you smoke, if you're obese, if you have diabetes, if you have high blood pressure, if you have high cholesterol, right? And there's some other not so fast and strict associations that research has found. They include hearing loss, untreated depression, loneliness, being secluded, and living a sedentary lifestyle. So just wanted to use this next slide to just highlight again that there is a genuine increase when we talk about age. So we see the older you are, the increased risk there is. And interestingly enough as well, women are more at risk than men for just developing Alzheimer's disease. We don't know why. We don't know why. So the Center for Disease Control understands where Rotary is coming from and the importance of just having a national plan available to talk about Alzheimer's disease. They have a list of goals. They have a manifest of goals where they talk about the importance
enhancing the focus on risk reduction. That's what we want to do. They want to monitor and improve access to public health surveillance data. So that screening tool that you have in front of you is something that we want to get out to everybody so we can increase screening. They want to continue clinical trials on the most promising drugs and health promotion exercises. So there is a national or international focus on Alzheimer's disease. And so here's how you reduce the risk. And this is all information that the CDC agrees with. I mean, we've heard it before, but it remains true. Prevent and manage your high blood pressure. Manage your blood sugars. Maintain the healthy weight. Be physically active. Quit smoking if you do smoke. Avoid secondhand smoke. Avoid excessive drinking and get enough rest. I know that last one is hard for a lot of us. I'll say it again, get enough rest. Okay, so let's talk about diagnosis. If you are suspicious that you have a family member, neighbor, friend who has signs or symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, ensuring that they are seen by a neurologist or a geriatrician can be very helpful. And so what these physicians do is they look at some of the details and factors that we've already mentioned, and they will ensure, for example, that the imaging work, the MRI, the CT, the PET scan that is done looks at those amyloid plaques and see if they're increasing or if they are abnormal in that patient's brain. Or they'll look at a CT brain and they'll see something that says, well, the brain is atrophic, meaning the brain is shrunk or the brain is smaller in certain regions. And like we keep saying, it comes out, early detection is best. And early detection means early prognosis. And early prognosis, knowing early that your loved one has Alzheimer's disease, can mean early intervention. And early intervention means, hey, let's stop this disease before it progresses too fast. Let's put some things in place to slow it down a little bit. And so there are some valid screening tools that are available to the public that we can use to just tell us if a patient has Alzheimer's disease. One that we like in our public clinics is the mini mental status exam, but there is also the MOCA screen, and there's also a SAGE screen that you and I can administer to ourselves if you're concerned about changes or memory loss. I like the mini mental status. It is well liked. It is a valid tool that's often used because it looks at different categories or components of mental health or cognitive well-being. So, for example, it looks at if you're oriented. Do you know who you are? Do you know who's sitting across from you? Do you know where you are? Do you know what floor of the building you are on? Do you know the date and the time? And I find some of us who don't have any cognitive impairment often don't know the date, right? So that's one that we see that people get wrong just a lot. It looks at how well you recognize items. So you know that that's a cup. Can you say the word cup, phone, laptop, table? Can you identify objects and say what they are? Another biggie is being able to recall something. So if I said to someone in the room, remember these 3 words, car, bus, table. And then I asked them for 5 minutes for those words. Being able to recall car, bus, table in a few minutes can be an indication of whether you have cognitive impairment or not. And then, like we said, how to utilize language. Can you put a sentence together? That's something that we test. It could be as simple as, I love you. I am sad. I am happy. To put a sentence together. And again, those things differ because people have different personalities. People have different educational levels. The results table that's attached to the mini mental status exam is helpful because the scoring system includes and it gives some advice at the very end, and it says, hey, yes, this is it. Yay, no. I think there's a chance that you could have Alzheimer's disease, right? So it gives you ranges, and those ranges differ based on education of the client. And I think that's an important thing to consider. So here's the question: Can we prevent the disease? The answer today, December 1st, 2022,
is no, we can't prevent Alzheimer's disease. And there is no cure yet. There is nothing, no cure in mind yet. But there are treatments and there are tips that we can put in place. Treatments that can improve quality of life and slow progression. So a biggie is memory aids, ensuring that calendars and clocks are surrounding patients. And so they can say, it is December 1st, 2022. It's a Thursday morning, right? So being able to just give that information keeps you oriented. We now have so many fancy electronics. We have Alexa at home, and Alexa can tell us and remind us of, hey, what's the to-do list for today? That's a memory aid, whether we'd like to think so or not, right? So they keep us accurate on our information and they are helpful to us. There are drugs that slow the progression of disease. I think you remember us talking about these two neurons that have to talk and they have to say, hey, time to eat. Put food in mouth, right? These neurons that communicate. And we said that the chemicals between those neurons are a little bit low. There are some drugs called acetylcholinesterase inhibitors that help to increase the amount of drug between those neurons and improve the communication between the neurons and the brain. So it doesn't make you better, but it stops the disease from worsening as quickly. And so there are also some vitamins and supplements on sale, on advertisements that are marketed that say, hey, can we use something like Prevagen? I don't know if you've heard of Prevagen. There are commercials on television encouraging us to take these supplements. There are benefits from memory loss, but no clear clinical trial has associated some of these supplements with improvement or treatment for Alzheimer's disease specifically. But I want to say, wait, there's hope. A few hours ago, actually, I saw a post by the New York Post, and they said Alzheimer's disease could be. And this post is literally 4 hours ago on Instagram that I saw. And it talks about a new drug. And the drug is a monoclonal antibody called lecanemab, brand new, and it's still in trials. And what they're saying this drug is going to do is it's going to go in the brain, and those plaques and tangles that we talked about, it's going to clean up those plaques and tangles, and it's going to restore some brain cells, and your brain will not shrink, and so it will treat, cure Alzheimer's disease. That is the hope of this new drug. It is still in clinical trials, but I thought it interesting that this could be the beginning of the end. So I just want to say that highlighting those who suffer with Alzheimer's disease is absolutely critical. But we must mention those who provide care for those with the Alzheimer's disease. And those are our caregivers. They are selfless, they are heroic, they are worthy of praise. And just even on a public health level, people who have caregivers have shorter hospital stays, and they're less likely to have to return to hospital for post-acute care. There are proven studies that say this. So it's the personal love, and it is a public health support as well for us in the country. And so I have some information I thought to share with you about the Bahamian caregiver from a study I did. So the typical Bahamian caregiver is a single female between the ages of 35 to 54 with a high school education. They live in a household with 3 to 5 people, and they tend to complain of financial burden mostly, than emotional burden, than physical burden. All right, that's what our Bahamian caregiver typically looks like. And so I think there's so many tips that we can share with our caregivers in the corners and around the world, especially those who care for patients with Alzheimer's disease. The first thing we have to say is recognize, know your stress. And caregiver stress can look like feeling overwhelmed. It could look like constantly worrying. It can look like feeling tired. It can be getting irritated more quickly than you usually do, getting angry, losing interest in the person you're caring for. All of that is caregiver stress. So it's important to recognize that. And I like to share with patients and their families in clinic, once you recognize this caregiver stress, scream.
And what screaming could look like, doesn't have to be an audibly loud noise, but screaming means asking that sibling for help, right? Asking a spouse or a close friend if they could take Mommy for a walk today. Accepting dinner from Sister Susie so that you don't have to cook and look after Aunt Rosie tonight, right? So just creating that balance. Another big thing I think for our caregivers is now accentuating your positives, right? And so that is a twofold meaning. If you know you have specific strengths, you are great at those smoothies that your older person loves. Don't stop making them. But you are not so great at the bath, and your sister is better at the bath, but she has the patience. Let that happen, right? So it's creating that balance. Accentuating the positive could also mean highlighting the good days of a patient with Alzheimer's disease, right? So if they were happy today, they bathed and got dressed and they were very cooperative, I think that is worth highlighting, praising, encouraging, and we can't forget in the midst of challenges to accentuate the positive. And so also wanted to share the importance of getting connected, right? So getting connected, there's some resources on the screen that can really help you. One that isn't on the screen that I'd like to mention, we have public health clinics, and attached to those clinics, we have a caregiver hotline where information can be readily available from our physicians at the geriatric hospital, information about caring for your loved one with Alzheimer's disease. Another online support group that I like, and I think they have just valid, reliable information, is the Family Caregiving Alliance. And I think it would be remiss of us not to mention that the Bahamas Alzheimer's Association is up and running. Their website is up, they're having events, they are very helpful, they are a support. All right, so, and then my last point, and I think I'm just so happy that you guys have taken this up. Can't be afraid to do a little research, get a little bit more information. Knowledge is power. And so here we are getting a little bit more equipped to deal with the challenges of life. All right, so thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope that something I shared was helpful. Any questions?
Honestly, before the date, I really have no idea for all the time. You know, there's something you just saw and you know, I never realized that, you know, how deep it was. I want to thank you for your presentation because I've learned a whole lot. It was an excellent presentation. It was very clear, very concise, and you know, even me could understand. But I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. You have a question?
Yes, I want to know why does Alzheimer's affect short-term memory as opposed to the long-term?
That's a great question, right? So it affects the short-term memory first. So there's a particular region in the brain called the hippocampus. And for some reason, those amyloid plaques and those proteins, those tangles, they form in the hippocampus. They go for the brain cells in the hippocampus first. And that area of the brain is concerned with our short-term memory. And so sometimes and eventually, if the disease progresses long enough and the patient lives long enough, they will lose their long-term memory as well, unfortunately. So it's just that it goes there first. Yes, thank you. You're welcome.
Are there any questions online? Oh, yeah.
Is there any particular advice you would give to caregivers in dealing with next patient with an Alzheimer's patient or stuff
Yeah. So I think a big thing is understanding the disease, right? Understanding, firstly, that this patient, this person, this loved one, does not remember. I think sometimes as caregivers, it's easy to get overwhelmed and to think this must be intentional. Like they have to remember, they asked me this question 10 times today. But if you understand the disease, the brain cells are shrinking, The neurons are unable to communicate with each other. They truly don't remember asking you that question before. So first, let's understand that it's not intentional. Even though this disease is neurocognitive or mental, it is a disease that's beyond their control. So I think that knowledge helps first. And I think it's okay to sometimes switch your answer. All right, and see if you get a different response or redirect that person or patient to another conversation or activity or task, puzzle, whatever, or a song. All right, and so maybe redirecting that conversation helps them or helps you, it helps them to change the topic. All right.
Sorry, there's a question online. Melanie, Melanie, go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Good morning, Doctor. Thank you for your presentation. Is it possible that we could get a summary of your presentation, please?
Sure, I can share that with Dr. Stevens and then share that with you for sure.
Thank you very much, Sean. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
The words Alzheimer's and dementia. They use agency changeably, if not, what is
The difference, right? So dementia is the overarching category of neurocognitive impairments, the big, broad topic umbrella. Alzheimer's is a smaller subsection of dementia. It's a type of dementia. So we focused in on that today. But there's Lewy body dementia. We see that a lot in our population, unfortunately, because it's associated with ischemic changes. So we get these stroke and the brain cells die, or these cholesterol plaques form in the vessels. And so oxygen and nutrients can't get to the brain and the cells die. That's a biggie in our culture because we have so much high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke. So it's like different types of dementia. Another thing we often confuse too in our country is something called delirium and dementia, right? So dementia is this insidious process characterized by these changes in the brain. But delirium is something acute, fixable, maybe caused by an infection, maybe caused by a drug. We could fix this. And so just an encouragement, if you have an older person and these changes happen so fast, I would take them to the doctor and get, because it's more likely delirium than dementia. We wait too long, delirium could become dementia. Yes, we have a Bahamas Alzheimer's Association, and I think that they have like recently revamped 3 years ago. Miss Wendy Poitier is the president.
Okay, so I understand there's a question in the chat. Is there any training for caregivers here in the Bahamas to aid them in better understanding what they can do to assist persons with Alzheimer's?
Excellent question. I don't know of any official training programs, but at Sandlands Rehabilitation Center, every year we have a caregiver symposium in October. Just had it, about 200 persons, awesome webinar. If you go to, I think, the Public Hospitals Authority's website, you can see this webinar that was conducted by Dr. Jira Grimes, and it's well done, great information.
So is it sporadic or, so if you have a family member who has Alzheimer's, you would be concerned?
Having a family member with Alzheimer's is not enough to be concerned. But if you have a genetic test done and it shows that you have, for example, the ApoE gene, then your risk of developing Alzheimer's disease increases. But it doesn't mean that you will. And so taking those lifestyle changes into consideration can help to prevent the onset of this disease or the progression of it. So a gene doesn't mean yes. So having one gene could mean yes, your chance is increased. I think having your chance 10 times, you are going to get Alzheimer's disease.
Any other questions?
Yes, it absolutely is a connectivity. So The older you are, the increased risk of developing it. And I think the fact that you can have these symptoms and not know anything about it for 10 years or so, and then hide symptoms for a long time, like you kind of know you're not remembering how to get home, but you don't want to start driving, and so just some changes can happen, and you kind of hide it from your family. So sometimes we also think there's a late onset, but sometimes that older person is aware of those changes is happening in their own mind as well. So I haven't seen any class studies on that, but I have seen patients in our country in clinic, not 60 years, diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Yeah, it tends to be your older clients, but I've seen patients not 60, 58, 57. Sure. Yeah, so there is report that there's an association between stress and Alzheimer's disease, the exact pathology, what happens to the brain because of the stress isn't known. Now I know some men in the room like thinking women is the ones who get stressed out. No, I was not sure. But so that exact, trait is not known. Yes, stress has been associated, found in clients who have Alzheimer's.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Invite Dr. Rotary Machado to now do the board of thanks. You can so go ahead, please. Thank you. We know about it, but it's not talked about. Right, thank you guys. And so, like you said, this is that treatment was like on Alzheimer's and documentary the share privilege, readiness, and so on. And that's why we have this to do this release, because we think it's important information that the public needs to know. And I just want to add my word of encouragement. Just try to utilize exercise and manage your stress. Got anything from it this morning? Manage your stress. Exercise, whatever that means for you. To wrap up the meeting, we're going to do our polling check. Oh, that's a surprise. Oh, sorry. Karen. All right, let's invite Dr. Dorset. Can you take our raffle winner? Three, 8, 9, 4. Somebody in the room because it doesn't have a number and a name at the back.
All right, to do the four-way test, Rotarian past president Diana Lynn is on that. Could you, oh, sorry.
Sorry, good morning, Rotarians and guests. I'm sure you're well aware that our Jingle Bell Jazz event is coming up and you're buying and selling those tickets like crazy. We had a challenge out for the first person to sell 3 tables was going to get a prize. And this morning, I would like to present that prize to the person who sold the 3 tables first. And that person is none other than our current sitting president. And here is your prize. So it's a beautiful red.
Thank you so much, my dear people. Thank you. The present surprise. All right, so let's be upstanding for our four-way test. I want to thank everyone who joined us online and in the room. And I hope that you got a little bit more information on Alzheimer's. And don't think that if you're on the phone and you're looking for it, that you have Alzheimer's. Yeah, talking to when I was secretary, I was talking to people. Francis. And saying, boy, you know, for the last 20 minutes, I'm looking for my phone and I just can't find the phone. Where's the phone?
Hello.
I said, my phone. And she said, all right, when you hung up and when you find it, call me right back. All right, so go ahead, PP Diana with our four-way test.
A very pleasant good morning to one and all. The four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Second, is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Will it be
beneficial to all concerned?
Happy Thursday, everybody.
Thank you.
Good morning, Rotarian friends and guests. Please raise your cups, your mugs, your bottles, your glasses to Rotary around the world.
The Rotary around the world.
Rotary around the world.
Thank you so much, Rotarians and guests. Thank you to New Health Productions. We look forward to an awesome documentary. And the journey doesn't end here. We'll be filming some other aspects of Alzheimer's, but this is just a clip of what's to come. So it's a big project for Rotary, and we thank you all for your participation this morning. Have the most amazing day. Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.